Hi, welcome to Song Express. I'm Magda Hiller, and today we're going to be working on some really neat songs, starting with Vincent by Don McLean. First, let's tune.
6-string E. Fifth string A. Fourth string D. Third string G. Second string B. First string E.
Okay, let's start with our first chord, which is a G chord, G major. And this is how I'm going to finger it, okay? We're starting with, there are a few ways. I'll show you. This is how I'm doing it. First finger on the second fret on the A string. Second finger on the low E on the third fret. Then I'm putting my third finger on the B string on the third fret and my pinky right underneath it on the E string. You can also just play it without the pinky, moving your third finger onto the high E string and just playing like that with nothing on the B. But I like the fuller sound. Okay? Next chord is an A minor chord. First finger is on the B string on the first fret. Second finger is on the D string on the second fret. And the third finger is right underneath on the G string on the second fret. That's how that sounds, okay? Then we're going to a C chord. If you go from the A minor chord, all you're going to do here is move your third finger to the third fret on the A string. Okay, the other two stay the same. It's your A minor, then you're just going to move that third finger. That's your C chord. If you notice me playing it like this, with my third finger on the low E string on the third fret and my pinky underneath it on the A string on the third fret, that's how I choose to play it. You can do either way, okay? And then we're going to go to a D7 chord. It's our next chord. First finger is on the B string on the first fret. Second finger on the G string on the second fret. Third finger on the high E on the second fret. Okay, that's the D7 chord. Now those are the first chords I want to show you here. When playing these, when we're playing the G, we're using the low E string as our bass note. When we go to the A minor, we're using the A string as our bass note. Same with the C. When we're doing the D7, you want the D string. Okay, that's your bass note. Then you're going back to the G. Now that's your first verse right there. What you can do, I'm going to show you right now just how to strum it. Then you can just strum it to the A minor, to the C, to the D7, to the G. Okay, later on I'm going to also show you how you can do a simple picking pattern on here. The recording has a really nice picking pattern on it. I'm going to show you a simplified version. But for right now, just so you can get through the song, you're able to play it, I just want to show you the chords and how to strum it. Okay? So now that we have the verse chords, we're going to go, it's more like it's like a chorus. It is the chorus. That's what it is, the chorus. Okay. A minor, starting on A minor, to the D7, to the G. Then we're going to go to an E minor, and we're going to use our first finger going from the G. Put your first finger on the low E string on the second fret. we're going to an E minor chord. Okay? E minor is with your second finger on the A string on the second fret, and your third finger on the D string right below it on the second fret. Okay? It's your E minor. Then we're going to an A minor 7, which is your same A minor chord, but put your pinky on the high E string on the third fret. To a D7, E minor. Now we're going to an A7. I'm making it look way more complicated than it is. It's really simple. You're just barring your first 4 strings, okay? And then put your second finger or third, I'm using my pinky just because that's how I've always done it. But it's probably easiest for you to just use your second finger on the high E string on the third fret. Okay? That's an A7 chord. A minor 7, D7 to the G. It's a nice little addition here to put in for your intro. You're going from the G. You're going to put your first finger on the B string on the first fret and your second finger on the D string on the second fret. And then you're going to slide them up. So you're on now the third and fourth frets. And go back. Open to the G. So G. So you can use that in your intro and in the verse too. Okay, listen to how this sounds. And that's hammering on to the first one. Okay, you don't have to hammer on. And you'll go into your verse. Starry, starry night, paint your palette. Go to the A minor. Lift your first finger off. It's a nice little addition. Accent, C. To the D7, to the G. Shadows on the hills. Sketch the trees and the daffodils. Lift a finger. Catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand. You're in the chorus to the D7. What you tried to say to me, how you suffered for your sanity, how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did. A7, A minor 7, perhaps they'll listen now. Okay, now you hear how that sounds. We're going to just add in the bridge. Okay, and that starts with, goes from the G, for they could not love you, A minor 7, D7, but still your love was true. To the E minor. And when no hope was left in sight. Now we're going to a C minor 6. And that is fingered. First finger on the D string on the first fret. Second finger on the B string on the first fret. Third finger on the G string on the second fret. And your pinky on the third fret on the high E. And you're going to use your D string as the bass note. Okay, so you're going for A minor 7. Hope was left in sight on that C minor 6. You're going to G, took your life, and we're going to an F7 here. F7, barring the first fret. Second finger is on the G string on the second fret, and your third finger is on the A string on the third fret. This is really like a passing chord here. We're going from the C minor 6. You took your life as lovers often do. This is an E7 chord, very simple. First finger on the G string on the first fret, second finger on the A string on the second fret. Okay, now we're back to an A minor 7. But I could have told you, Vincent, see, this world was never meant for one as D7, I hit it finally, beautiful as you. Go back to that little bit there, that's nice, and then you can start over again into your next verse. Okay, I want to go through that now. From the bridge. For they could not love you, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left in sight on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. I omitted putting that pinky there. For your E7 chord, you want to put your pinky on the B string on the 3rd fret. Okay, now we got it. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Okay, before we go through the song, I just wanted to show you a bit, as I was saying before, there is a picking pattern. I just want to show you just a little bit of a simplified version of that. And this is how I'll be playing the song. So when you're comfortable with it, once you are comfortable, you can start picking, okay? Okay, it's an arpeggiated pattern, starting with a thumb on the low E string, and then the first finger is on the D string, second is on the G, and the third is on the B. It's one right after the other, okay? So what I'm doing is thumb 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So it sounds like this. And then at the end, just switching over and using my 3rd finger on the high E string. Okay, and when I go over here, I'm just plucking those 3 strings. And the A minor chord, using the A in the bass. You can, when you're going from the A minor to the C, use your 2nd finger as a passing note here. So you're going, okay? So your 2nd finger would be going on to the A string on the 2nd fret. From the A minor to the C, okay? And the D7 chord, it's just an arpeggiated pattern. Let's run through the song now. Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul, shadows on the hills. Sketch the trees and the daffodils, catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, how you suffered for your sanity, how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflecting Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, how you suffered for your sanity, how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you. We're at the bridge now, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left in sight, C minor 6, starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. And then you'll go on to the last verse and out, and that's the song. Now we're going to work on a song by Stephen Stills called 4 and 20. Let's check the tuning. Okay, for this song, we actually are going to use a different guitar tuning. So check this out. We're starting with our low E string. We're leaving that. That stays as an E. On the A string, excuse me, we're going to take the A down to an E as well. Okay, so here's how we're going to do that. Okay, that's now, your A is now an E. Then we're going to take your D string up to an E. So it's going up a whole step. Okay, so now the G string, which sounds like this, is going to go down to an E. And it's good to take them down, take the string down and then bring it back up, okay? Then the B string is staying. That stays as a B. I was just checking mine there. It was a little off. Your E string is staying the same. Okay? So now basically what you have is every string is tuned to an E except for your B string. So open, it'll sound like this. We have 2 sections to this song, and after the first section there's just a little lick. What I'm going to do here is show you the first section. With our left hand, it's simple fingerings, okay? Your first finger is going to be on the 7th fret on the high E string, and your third finger is going to be on the 9th fret on the B string. That's your first basic fingering. Okay, the whole pattern that we're going to do now is based on an E chord and the E major scale. Okay? Now the next chord, next set of fingerings, is here. We just slide it down. So your first finger is now on the 5th fret on the E string, and your third finger is on the 7th fret on the B string. Okay? These are really easy. Then your next one, you just slide down 1 fret. First finger is on the 4th fret on the high E, and now we put your second finger on the B string on the 5th fret. Okay? Now that's your first set of chords. Now let's take a look at what the right hand is doing. We're going to put our thumb on the low E string and our third finger on the high E, simultaneously plucking those, okay? Like that. Then your thumb goes down to the D and your first finger on the G, one after the other. Okay? Then your thumb on the low E and your second finger on the B, following each other. Thumb on the low E again, and your first finger on the G string as you're moving to the next sequence. Let me show you how this is going to sound, okay? Slowly. Then we're moving. See? Okay, if you want to, pause the tape and just practice that sequence. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from that segment. We're going to pull off, take our first finger, put it on the B string on the 2nd fret, or whichever is easiest for you if a second finger is easier. And so you're on the B string on the 2nd fret, and with your left hand you're going to pull that off while your right hand is using the thumb on the low E and plucking the B string simultaneously with the second finger as you're pulling it off. Listen to this. Okay? And then you're going to hit your low E string again. You have that? First finger, B string, 2nd fret. That's all your left hand is doing. Your right hand has your thumb on the low E and your second finger on the B string. You're pulling off with your left hand and you're plucking these strings simultaneously. And then using the thumb again on the low E. And then you're going to take your third finger and you're going to put it on the 4th fret on the high E string. Okay? And you're going to pluck the E with the third finger of your right hand and then your thumb on the low E. Okay? Listen. So you've got, okay? Your thumb is following again. Your thumb always seems to follow on that low E. And then your first finger is going to pluck the G string once more. Okay? So you're going like this. Let's go through the whole segment. Now let's go on to the second section. We're going to use what would be a G6 chord without the 5 or a D. Okay? You're going to put your second finger on the low E string on the 3rd fret and your third finger on the G string on the 3rd fret. And we're going to use our same picking pattern. And then you're going to slide it up 2 frets to the 5th fret, the same fingering. Now let's do the last part. We're going up. You're going to be on the 10th fret on the high E string with your first finger on your left hand, and your third finger is going to be on the B string on the 12th fret. Okay, and you're using the same picking. just want to vibrate that hand. Just going to use some vibrato on the strings there. Listen to this. That's the second section. Now let's go back to the beginning and I'll show you how it all fits together. We're going to start with an intro. That's the first lick we really did, the first set of chords, 2 bars. That's going to be our intro and our re-intro in between our verses. It's not really a verse-chorus kind of song. You'll hear it as I'm doing it, okay? And then we're just going to end on the E7. 24 years ago, I came into this life, son of a woman and a man who lived in strife. He was tired of being poor, and he wasn't into selling door to door. And he worked like the devil to be more. Now we're going into another little intro. Different kind of poverty now upsets me so. Night after sleepless night, I walk the floor and I wanna know, why am I so alone? Where's my woman? Can I bring her home? Have I driven her away? Is she gone? Another re-intro. Morning comes the sunrise, and I'm driven to my bed. I see that it is empty, and there's devils in my head. I embrace the many-colored beast. I grow weary from the torment. Can there be no peace? And I find myself just wishing that my life would simply cease. This song is called Both Sides Now, and it's written by Joni Mitchell. Let's start with our tuning, okay? Okay, in this song, we actually have a little bit of a different tuning. So let's go working with our low E string. We're going to keep the low E where it is. Then we're going to take the A string up to a B. Okay, now you've got your A string up to a B. Your D string is going to go up to an E. Okay? Now your G string is going to just go up to a G sharp. All right, now we have that. Your B string is staying the same, and your high E is also the same. All right, now we're going to go with the first section of the song, which would be the intro. And we're starting, this tuning is open E. So it's an E chord. And the intro starts with an open E. And then we're doing an A2 over C sharp. It's using your first finger on the G string on the first fret, and your second finger on the A string on the second fret. And this is all you need for the intro. The intro goes like this. Okay, if you want to just pause the tape and practice that, it's pretty simple. And we're going to do that, let's see, we're going to go E, then we go to the first chord of the verse, which is an E major 7. And that is using your first finger on the G string on the 3rd fret, and your second finger on the A string on the 4th fret. Okay? And then you're going to go back to your A chord, the A2 over C sharp, open E, B7. The B7 is your first finger on the G string on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string, 2nd fret, and third finger on the high E on the 2nd fret. Okay? And then it's back to an open E, then the A chord, open E, and a B7 sus chord. B7 sus is your first finger on the G string on the 1st fret, and your second finger on the D string on the 2nd fret. Okay, that's a little bit of a new chord for you, and then back to the B7. And this is an E up on the 3rd fret. It's just sliding your B7 chord. Slide the whole fingering up, the whole hand up to the 3rd and 4th frets. Okay, so your first finger's on the G string on the 3rd fret, your second finger's on the D string on the 4th, and your third finger's on the high E on the 4th. Okay? Back to the B7, to the E. So those are the chords you need. I want to show you how that sounds now, okay? So your intro. Okay? That's how your first phrase should sound of the first verse. Now we're going to go on to the second part. The second phrase would be back to the E major 7, to the A, to your B7, and then you'll go to the E major 7 again, A, E, B7 sus. So these are all chords that you already know. We're going to do that now. So it's really the whole first verse. Okay? Here we go. Coming up to the verse. that's what we have up until now. Then we're going to do a last little bit here. This is what connects those pieces, connects you up into the next verse. We're ending here on this B7, sus, and then we're going to do a little rundown here with our second finger. Actually, we should use I'm going to use the second finger on the 3rd fret on the A string, then your first finger on the 2nd fret on the A string. So your second finger, 3rd fret, A string, first finger, 2nd fret, A string. Then you're going to just hit your A string open. And you're going to put your second finger on the 3rd fret on the low E. So what we're going to do here, that sounds like this. All right, have that. When we play it in context, we're going to go from the B7 sus. That's how it's going to sound. You're really kind of hitting probably the E, the A, and the D strings, and you're going down, up, so that when you come back down, you're going right back onto the E major 7. Starting another verse. Okay? So it's like this. Right to the E major 7. And then you're starting on your second verse. Okay, now let's go on to the chorus. And the chorus will start after the second verse does that same little rundown. And then we're going to do our E chord up here. Remember, which we played in the beginning. That's up on the 3rd fret. To the B7. Okay, so it's E, B7, open E. Actually, it's E, B7, E, B7, open E. Okay, and this is how the strumming is going to sound. So you're really having 2 hits. On the 2nd and 3rd times, you go through it once, you're doing. I guess that's the 3rd and the 4th. Okay? And then we're going to go on to the E major 7, to the A, open E, A, to the E, and then E major 7, A, E, B7 sus, to the E. Okay? So this is going to sound, let me go through this so you can hear how this is. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Back to your intro. And then you're going to go on to a next verse. And that's the whole song. So we could run through that. Starting with our intro. The verse. Rows and flows of angel hair, and ice cream castles in the air, feathered canyons everywhere. I looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. Now you go to the chorus. Both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions. I recall, I really don't know clouds at all. And of course, there are more verses and more choruses. What I did want to let you know is if you want to play along with the record, you'll need a capo. This is a shub capo, and the recording was done with a capo on the 2nd fret. So the capo acts as like moving your nut up. So you just start from here. Actually, this needs to be tightened a bit, but that's how they work. Tighten that up a bit and just place it along right up by the fret. Okay? And just play the song the same way. We're going to learn Come Monday by Jimmy Buffett now. So let's start by tuning. Okay, there are about 9 chords in this song altogether. I'm going to start by showing you those chords. C major is the first chord. First finger is on the B string on the 1st fret. Second finger is on the D string on the 2nd fret. And your third finger is on the A string on the 3rd fret. That's a C major chord. Now we're going to go to an F. I'm playing my F major chord. You bar your first finger on the B and the high E strings. Second finger is on the G string on the 2nd fret. You're barring, by the way, on the 1st fret. And then my third finger, I'm putting on the A string on the 3rd fret, and my pinky right below it. That's on the D string on the 3rd fret. It's a fatter sounding F than, it's just more richer. Okay, that's your F chord. G major. I'm playing by using my first finger on the A string on the 2nd fret. Second finger is on the low E string on the 3rd fret. Third finger is on the B string on the 3rd fret. And my pinky on the high E on the 3rd fret. Okay, that's my G chord. The next chord we're going to do is an F over D. And that's played by barring those first 2 strings, your B and your high E, with your first finger on the 1st fret, and then second finger's on the G string on the 2nd fret. That's F over D. Okay, you know what? Before even going on anymore, I want to show you, now that you have those first chords, I'll just go through that first verse with you. Okay? Starting on the C chord, just strumming. Heading up to San Francisco, G, for the Labor Day C weekend show. I got my hush puppies on. I guess I never was meant for glitter rock and roll. Okay, that's your first verse section there. And then you go to your F over D. And honey, to F, I didn't know. Then to G, that I'd be missing you so. Into your chorus, which is starting on an F, come Monday, to C, to an F, to G. Then we're going to go C, E minor. E minor chord is played by putting your second finger on the A string on the 2nd fret, third finger on the D string right below it on the 2nd fret. Okay, that's your E minor chord. Then we're going to an F, to a G, to an F, to a G, and to a C. That's the whole chorus. This is really, it's an easy song to play. Those are quick passing chords there in the chorus, in the second part of it. Let's go through the chorus there. Come Monday, it'll be all right. Come Monday, I'll be holding you tight. I spent C, E minor, F, G, F, G, C. That's the chorus right there. It's just, it passes pretty quickly in the second half. It's just one hit on each, one strum on each chord there. Okay, you want to go through that? So the verse, you have C, F, G, C, F, G. It's real simple. C, pre-chorus, F, G, G, chorus, F, C, F, G. Here we go. C, E minor, F, G, F, G, C. Now we go to the bridge. This is a new chord here, a D major 7. It's a real pretty sounding chord. We're going to bar the G, the B, and the high E strings on the second fret with our first finger. And if you want, you can use your second finger on top of that just to help push it down. Okay, that's your D major 7 chord. Then we're going to go to a G major 7. Don't worry about the buzz. It may happen, it may not happen. I'm putting my first finger on the high E string on the second fret, second finger on the A string on the second fret, third finger on the low E string on the third fret. Okay, the major 7s all have a really nice sound. And we go back to the D major 7, and to the G major 7 again, and the D major 7 again, G major 7 again, to an F major 7. F major 7 is played by putting, you're not barring this time. You're just using your first finger on the B string on the first fret, second finger on the G string on the second fret, and third finger on the D string on the third fret. Okay, that's your F major 7. And then back to, then to a G7. Actually, that is at the end. The bridge ends with a G7, which is first finger on the high E on the first fret, second finger on the A string on the second fret, third finger on the low E on the third fret. Okay, so your bridge sounds like this. I can't help it, honey. You're that much a part of me now. Remember that night in Montana, F major 7, said there'd be no room for doubt. That's your G7. And then you just go back to the C. If you notice, I am playing my C chord a little differently. Instead of putting my third finger on the A string on the third fret, I'm actually putting it on the low E string on the third fret and my pinky on the A string on the third fret, just for a bit of a fuller sound. One last chord here. This comes up at the very end. It's a B flat. We're going to bar the first fret with our first finger, all the strings. Second finger is on the D string on the third fret. Third finger is on the G string right underneath it. And the pinky is on the B string right underneath that. Okay? And that comes up at the end. I spent 4 lonely days in a brown LA haze, and I just want you back by my side. And then ending on the C. That's where your B flat comes in, okay? Let's run through the song. Starting on the C chord. Heading up to San Francisco for the Labor Day weekend show. I got my hush puppies on. I guess I never was meant for glitter, rock and roll. F over D. Honey, I didn't know that I'd be missing you so. Come Monday, it'll be alright. Come Monday, I'll be holding you tight. I spent 4 lonely days in a brown alley haze, and I just want you back by my side. Second verse. Yes, it's been quite a summer, rented cars and westbound trains, and now you're off on vacation, something you tried to explain. And darling, it's I love you so, that's the reason I just let you go. Come Monday, it'll be alright. Come Monday, I'll be holding you tight. I spent 4 lonely days in a brown alley haze, and I just want you back by my side. Going into the bridge, D major 7. I can't help it, honey, you're that much a part of me now. Remember that night in Montana when we said there'd be no room for doubt? I hope you're enjoying the scenery. I know that it's pretty up there. We can go hiking on Tuesday. With you I'd walk anywhere. California has worn me quite thin. I just can't wait to see you again. Come Monday, it'll be alright. Come Monday, I'll be holding you tight. I spent 4 lonely days in a brown alley haze, and I just want you back by my side. I spent 4 lonely days in a brown alley haze, and I just want you back by my side. That's Come Monday by Jimmy Buffett.